What's up, everybody, and welcome to a new episode of Indigenous Insights. I'm your host for today. I'm Sky Thomas. I'm a proud Gunakana, Yorta Yorta, and Wiradjuri woman, and I'm known as Soju Gang, a DJ from Naarm here, and I'm going to be walking us through today's episode. We have a guest here today that needs no introduction. She is Missy on Heartbreak High, Miss Sherry Watson. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
So, Sherry.
How are you? How are you?
I'm stressed.
That's all right. That's okay.
I'm so used to being in the background.
It's different, hey? Like being in front of the cameras.
No, let's jump in to our questions today. So you've blessed our screens playing Missy and Heartbreak High reboot. But who are you, for those who don't know?
So my name is Sherry. I'm a proud Arrernte woman. I'm from Mparntwe, which is Alice Springs. And yeah, I really like acting and I like performing. And I've been living here in Naarm for 7 years now. Like, I've moved here in 2017. Mm-hmm. So yeah, almost 10 years coming up soon. But I like lots of things. That's who I am though, on paper.
What got you into performing?
I've always been a performer. I've always done Stedfords and just at home in Alice. Everybody, I was just always performing in school. I was always doing choir and music, and I like playing trumpet and just always music starting off with because I'm a singer first. And yeah, just always been around family and just being around the mob. Everybody's really cheeky. I don't know if you know when you're sitting down mobs having a big family get together, somebody's telling a story, they're performing it.
Yeah.
That's the culture. Everybody's always telling biggest yarn and they got to tell how it all happened.
You got to play every character
play
in
the
thing.
part and put on the voices. And I'm that's just what I grew up with and I've always enjoyed it. And so I went and studied it and here we are.
What was it like growing up in Arrernte?
It was good. I love it. That's my home. I think everybody who was, fortunate and lucky enough to grow up on country understands what that pull is like or everybody understands what that pull is like, I guess. And it was, I was very blessed to grow up on my homelands. We grew up on a outstation just outside of Alice on our traditional homelands that we got handed back to us and, we got native title for, and then my nana fought for that in the 90s, and so I was very honoured and very blessed and lucky to be able to grow up there with family and culture and stuff and biggest family. And it was, beautiful. I love it so much. I can't wait to go back there.
Beautiful. Grew up there, came to the city, and then you ended up on Heartbreak High. How did that happen?
Yeah. So I went to boarding school down in Geelong, and then I was I need to stay in Victoria because I reckon if I go back home after I've finished my year 12 and stuff, I think I'm just going to get just kind of stuck in a cycle every day of doing the same thing. Mm-hmm. And I don't like doing the same thing every day. I like mixing things up and I like having new experiences every day. And I decided I've just got to stay down here and do university. So I auditioned for a performing arts school with called Victorian College of the Arts, VCA for short, and I got into their music theatre program.
Really?
Yeah, so I studied music theatre, which is singing, dancing and acting. And I did my bachelor in that and then booked an agent afterwards and started doing work.
It's so deadly to hear all the people that go through VCA because it's I know about some of the process to get into there and it just seems so full on, and to be able to persevere and get through that is amazing.
It's a pretty full-on process, yeah.
I think I tried to get in there for the arts and I was
yeah,
this is too much.
It's a lot. It really strips you down, and the whole kind of philosophy of the course that I did was that they spent 3 years and the first year was kind of stripping down all of your bad habits that you do when you're performing, when you're singing, when you're acting and you're dancing. You strip down everything that you come in with and then you start building good technique in second and third year. Second year is all about building technique, and then third year is all about applying it.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was pretty intense. It was like 9 to 6 every single day, 5 days a week, like full-time physical work in studio, all on the floor. We didn't have lectures and essays and all of that kind of like traditional academic stuff that you have typical of a university, which I really enjoy that side of this work. So it was not difficult, but it was just different, just being on the floor all the time. But it was a pretty grueling process. But, I'm like, made me the artist that I am today. So, I'm very fortunate for that. But I won't lie, it was a lot, especially being the only Indigenous person in the entire course. My particular course was like quite an isolating experience. But, we made it through.
Living in home, living in community, and then coming to live in the big city, what do you think was like the biggest culture shock?
Definitely not having lots of family around, and also like kind of like language differences, like how everybody talks really differently in the city, especially when you're not around, because like Alice, there's so much mob around. There's all the family around, and I just feel very comfortable. And, here I definitely had to adjust a lot about myself, especially going to like a big institution and just kind of, like the essence of what I was studying was essentially, how do I move in this world? Like, how does my body move in space? How does my voice work in different spaces? How can I change that to do my job and tell stories as an actor? And so I was kind of hyper-focused on like how I do things in the world for like 3 years straight. And that really took me out of a lot of reality and made me just constantly thinking about how I act when I'm in the city versus how I act when I'm at home. And like code switching is a really big part of a lot of people's lives, but I just really like hyper-focused on that for so long, and I think it kind of like exhausted me for a little bit. Yeah. Yeah,
no. I grew up in Dandenong in the southeast, and I felt that when I started being around like the city, like in a city more, it was kind of like doing the exact same thing, where it was like I need to be mindful of how, I guess I was more focused on how I'm perceived than actually just being who I am.
Yeah. And it's a conscious effort, and it's exhausting, hey? Like,
it's so exhausting.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I'm saying words like I'm not supposed to be, and
or just like people don't understand your lingo.
Yeah, or context.
Yeah.
It's just No, and
like I don't know about you, but like especially where I'm from, we get like the way that we show love to one another is that like we get cheeky to each other and we tease each other, and like coming into a kind of different culture, like it was really difficult to realize. I'm like, oh, like people don't kind of get cheeky to one another here as much as they do at home. And
being cheeky, it's being rough.
Like
the way that we talk to people and like, oh, you're so gorgeous, I want to flog you.
Yes, that one too.
Like, why do you want to hit me?
It's
like, no.
And it's like, no, but I want to hit you like because I love you.
Because you're so gorgeous. I want to be like,
I just want to be like
love taps,
like like I don't want to bash you. Just like I'm only little.
So you're on Heartbreak High. What's been some of your most memorable moments there?
All of it. Yeah, it's pretty deadly. It's like, I was pretty fortunate to like book something kind of the year I left uni, and like I wasn't trained for the screen, but I booked a screen job and I really am enjoying it. I'm a theatre girl, so it was really cool just to have that different experience of acting. And, like I'm such a nerd when it comes to acting. I just constantly want to learn more and more and more and more about it. And so just like learning how to act one particular way for like 3 years straight, and doing theatre work, which is very like big and like out there, and you have to be able to like portray a message and an emotion to somebody who's like all the way at the back of the theatre. And so your action and your like performance is just bigger. But then when you go onto screen and film, like the camera is like right there, and it picks up everything in your eyes, all of everything that you're thinking, like, and it's just really cool to like learn how to do that different
like
style.
Minuscule sort of like movements.
And also just like have a record of what I did to be able to go back and watch it and go like,
oh, true.
Oh, that's what I did in this scene. Oh, I could have been a bit more in my body here. and just like constantly be learning. But the whole thing was so memorable. Like, I don't know if you watched season 2, but this season we had like a camp episode and we were just like filming out in the bush in Sydney on like Darug country, I think. And it was like so beautiful. And yeah, it was cold, but I love it so much.
What are like the similarities between you and Missy, and what are the things that are different? Because sometimes I think people see characters as like the actual person when it's like, that's not the case at all.
So Missy's 17, right? She's like 16, 17. I'm 25. So there's a big, obviously like maturity age difference there. And like a lot of people don't realize that I'm this age. They think that I'm a lot, because I'm very short. I'm very, very, very tiny. And so I think there's like a lot of, I approach a lot of the character work from myself as a 25-year-old, but sometimes I really need to reel back things and be like, oh, like I wouldn't think like this if I was 17, if that makes sense. But there's like a lot of, and also like Missy is from the city. Like she is like grew up on the East Coast. I grew up in the Northern Territory, and you know, like Mob would know that there's a lot of community and cultural differences depending on where you grew up in Australia. Like we all have different lingo, you know, like Queensland mob talk differently to Noongar mob, and like Yamaji mob talk differently to like Korees, and Murrays talk differently to like, you know, mob up and down. So like it's kind of having a conversation with people who don't necessarily know that there are massive cultural differences between somebody who grew up in Sydney versus somebody who grew up in Alice Springs, and that I don't necessarily have all the answers. So what can I bring to Missy's character and keep her authentic, knowing that sometimes she's not going to use the words that I naturally want to use because she don't know them. Yeah. And, you know, like how do I adjust to that? And yeah, but we have a lot of similarities. We're both really cheeky. We both have very strong morals, and like we'll kind of stand up for them. And, you know, I'd like to think I'm as quick-witted as her, but, you know, there's a lot of things I admire about her character. And
I think all us blackfellas think we're quick-witted.
Yeah, you know, like, but then there's always somebody else that comes along and they're like quicker and cheekier, and you're like,
I'm like, yeah, I didn't have a nap today. Whatever. Well, what are some of the challenges and stereotypes you've had to navigate in the industry?
Anyone who's ever had to advocate for themselves knows that just requires a lot of emotional labor. And when you're in a job where you literally have to portray emotions on, like, that's your job and it's being recorded, I've definitely had to find a balance in between picking my battles and kind of learning that and knowing, do I want to spend time and energy trying to stick up for myself right here and right now, or do I want to go and put in some really nice work knowing that I'm spending my energy today on doing what I love and doing what I want to do versus, like, do I want to spend time and energy educating other people?
Yeah.
And it's all,
in the first place.
Yeah. And it's like figuring out what's worth it, knowing the dynamics of everything. And like, that's definitely been a big challenge, just kind of like figuring out where my energy is best spent.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think it's good that you're being mindful about that as well, because I think especially if you're coming into a space where you might be like the first black follower or very limited amount in a space that is, you know, mostly white, mostly patriarchal, that it's like you are like, I'm the one that's here, but I've got to do something. But it's like sometimes just being there is the battle in itself.
Yeah. And just like, taking up space as well is another difficult one. Sometimes I have a bit of trouble with, like, and that's like something I learned in drama school as well, is like, how do I take up space in sometimes a space that wasn't designed for me or like actively designed against me, you know? And I think it's just like, I just owe a lot to like a lot of the trailblazers, particularly like, you know, like black women, actors and directors in the industry who just kind of like came before me and were able to establish like room for people in my generation to come up and stuff. So like, you know, your Deb Mailmans and your Miranda Tapsels and, you know, Shari Sebens and like people like that. And yeah, no, I think it's just really, like, I can't really talk about taking up space in those areas without acknowledging the people who did it before me and stuff. Or like Natasha Wanganeen, she's deadly. I just worked with her.
Deadly. How do you stay connected to your cultural roots while you're in this big external world of acting?
I just go home as much as I can and just go country and like just go and sit down with family and stuff. You know, I'm very lucky to have a really big family who like, you know, like they're all very staunch and strong, and just go and sit down and be quiet and learn as much as I can and just listen and, you know, and then when I'm here, I'll listen to my country music and I surround myself with as much mob as possible, which is something that I didn't learn that I needed to do until like only the last couple of years. Because when I was obviously at uni and I'm just like singing, dancing, acting all day, every day, and I'm not around a lot of mob and community, like that takes a lot out of you. Like you really got to put your eggs into all the different baskets and make sure you surround yourself with people who just know what it's like to walk through this world as a black fella. And, you know, especially these days with like a lot of the like online stuff that you see and, you know, how like easy people find it to just kind of like make assumptions about us. You just got to like surround yourself with your people and you'll be okay.
That's it.
Yeah.
It's always back to community.
Yeah.
Whether it's back home or it's finding some people to form a community here with. So it's deadly.
It's like a need for anybody, really.
Yeah.
Like everybody, it's like one of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh, so it's essentially like this fella, he designed this like pyramid essentially of like what are the basic human needs. And it's like you need your food, your water, your shelter, but you also need like community and like stimulation and stuff like that. And it's kind of like just to be functioning and be like happy.
Yeah, most definitely. We've seen like experiments where they talk about like what for like psychologically what people need.
Yeah.
And how like community and like human touch and intimacy can be put forward like above when it comes to like basic needs like food, water and housing.
Yeah. It's like we're such social creatures.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, like a lot of our people figured that out ages ago and, you know.
Yeah, and we're still doing it.
Yeah. Like.
Well, you've been on Heartbreak High and it's a show with a lot of history. What's it like being part of a legacy like that, especially in a remake?
It's deadly. Yeah. I think, you know, like the reboot is a lot different tonally to the original series. Like if anybody who's like watched the original series would know that that's just structured very differently. Like the original series is a soap. So it's got like Biggest Mob episodes. It's very much plays as like a soap drama, if that makes sense. Kind of like your Home and Aways and your Neighbours. Whereas like our show is a drama. And it's just like, soap opera, sorry. Our show's a drama. And so we've got your 8 episodes and it's like the story arc is like up and, you know, like it resolves itself a lot quicker and it's kind of like basic themes all around the one season. So it's just like different audiences. The people who are fans of the old show, like some of them might not have resonated with the reboot and that's okay. Like we brought in a new audience and it's resonated with a lot of young people around the world and like I'm very proud to be a part of something like that, especially like acknowledging and facilitating new conversations around Aboriginal people, which like a lot of people in the world just like don't know about. And
I don't even know that we're still around.
No.
Which is interesting.
Or like if we were ever around, like they're just, a lot of people just don't know that we exist.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't know that because you don't know that when you grow up in community. Yeah. You're just like, oh, we're here.
You should all know about us.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, cool.
And you're
like,
around other people and they're just like, oh, you're still here. I thought you died out in like the 1900s.
Yeah. And I was like, you would think that because, you know, it was made so you'd think that. But now we're here. Like, we're deadly.
Do you guys have any sort of like inputs when it comes to the show and especially as black followers?
Yeah. So I'm very lucky because like we do get a lot of input, a lot of say. Like anyone who's worked on a production would know that like there's a lot of different logistical things happening at once. There's a lot of moving parts and you have to be able to kind of move very quickly. You have a tight shooting schedule. On a show like Heartbreak, especially in like the first season, we were still kind of shaping a lot of the you know, like the characters, like the writers were really good at making these like beautiful, nuanced, layered characters and then still having room for us as the actors to be able to put our own inputs and like lived experiences onto our characters. So like I was able to change some lines and like change some things about my character with like the approval of like the creator of the series, Hannah Carroll Chapman, on our first season. And yeah, it was like really deadly, and you know, like having that freedom was really good, and it made me feel very comfortable to give a really nice, authentic performance, which I don't think everybody has the privilege of having, to be able to have so much input and say on their characters and how they're presented, you know.
I think that really shows as well, because I've only seen a little bit, but I've got like cousins and like my sister and that who watches the show, and they talk about just how, I guess, genuine, especially like blackfellow characters seem, because you know, like historically we're written by people who aren't us.
Yeah.
And you can tell.
Yeah.
But you guys reflect, like, especially, you know, like from like a city mob point of view, as somebody who grew up in the Woopering and country towns and that, but grew up in the city as well, that we don't get to hear a lot of our narratives told. So it's like refreshing.
Yeah. It was
see that.
Especially because like Missy was kind of like written and created by Sarah Khan, who is a really, really deadly writer. This is my sister girl. I love her. She's like incredible writer. And she very put a lot of herself into the character, and also was just like able to make this like full-rounded, like multi-dimensional person, which is like everybody deserves to see themselves represented in so many layers. And, you know.
I also just like that you just have like your siblings and your cousins and that, like as like, what are they called? Like characters on the show as well, because it's like a couple of times I've seen like blackfellas in shows or in movies. It's like there's one of them.
Yep.
I must lie.
Yeah.
Where's the rest of them?
It's like, where's the rest of it? Like, where you're walking into people on the street, you know them, they know your grandparents, like
yeah, when like even for me as a DJ, like I've got my cousins who shop. I got my aunties and uncles shop to stuff sometimes.
Yeah. And
they'll be there with me, but it's very rare that, unless I'm like interstate, that I'm like by myself without other blackfellas in some form.
Yeah.
So, no, it's been really deadly.
Yeah. And you'll meet other blackfellas, especially depending on your line of work, and suddenly you'll just know anyone through the mob van.
Yeah.
And everybody knows everybody.
What advice would you give other mob who are looking to come into the industry?
I get this question a lot by like a lot of young mob, and I've always wanted to just like reply to them with this like big, succinct, like perfect answer. But I don't have one. I think I would just say just keep really curious, be really curious and hungry about how the world works and how people work. And if you want to specifically like get into acting, like my route, I took quite a traditional route. Like I went to drama school, I went to like university for it and got taught like classic acting techniques. And then I got an agent through that, and then my agent started sending me auditions to book jobs. But you don't have to do that. Like you don't have to go to drama school to learn how to act. Like everybody knows how to act like a human because we do it all day, every day. You just got to get comfortable with doing it in front of a camera. So like the best piece of advice that one of my teachers gave me in drama school was just film yourself. Like get in front of a camera, start practicing, like find scenes that you like, or like read lots of plays, read so much, read lots and lots and lots of plays. Go watch things, watch movies, and just practice and film yourself in front of a camera and just get comfortable with like how intimate that feels. And well, Yeah, don't be shame. Do not be shame. But also like sometimes be shame. Sometimes it's worth being shame, but no, don't
it pays
be
off
shame.
Sometimes.
Like pick and choose, pick your battles. Nah, but don't be shame. Confidence is fake anyway. Like,
it's not real.
Yeah, everyone is like really loves my character Missy for her confidence, but I'm not confident like that in real life. Like I'm just performing it. I'm a performer. I perform my confidence. I'm like very much like switch it on and off, and you know, just nobody's confidence is performed. It is fake, and then you just start believing it about yourself. And
it's a delusion.
It's a delusion. You just got to pretend. That's right. Just like It's gaming.
How important do you think it is to have representation of blackfellas in media?
Oh, so important. Yeah, this is another question I always get asked, and I'm like, I don't know what the perfect answer to it is, because everybody knows why it's important. Like, you want to see yourself. Like, everybody, you know, the more representation we have on everyone, the more that people can understand, like, how this country works and how we function as our own society, and how, you know, like, I want to see all the different types of blackfellas on the screen. I want people to know about us and how deadly our community is and how diverse we are within our community. How you can have like saltwater people, freshwater people, river mob, desert mob, like people from the islands, and how we all have our own different laws and customs and ways of life, and that we're not just one people. And I think the more people we see represented on screen, like online, on stage, as much as possible, people will start to understand the nuances of our communities, and they'll understand that there are interpolitical relationships within our community that sometimes can get very complicated, or, you know, like understand just like how we function as people and how we relate to one another, and just realize that it's so much more complex than what a lot of people were taught growing up. And I think that just starts with putting people in the room and facilitating conversations like that, you know.
And it's being mindful about how we're putting blackfellas into these spaces in the first place. Because we were talking about it earlier. Like, we've only been able to kind of harness some control over the narrative of our stories only recently, especially when it comes to media. Like, it's so deadly to see a show like Heartbreak High want to have so much input, especially from blackfella writers and directors and makeup artists and all that sort of stuff, that it's like we've had people tell us and to tell everybody else who we are for so long.
Yeah.
And it's about, I don't know why I'm answering this question.
No, but it's true, because it's your lived experience as well.
That it's like we are not all the same people. We look so different. We talk differently. We have different cultural practices, different histories, but also just like completely different ways of how we exist in the world. Like we both might have gone to a private school, but it was in completely different ways. We both might have went to uni, but in completely different ways, and how all of that makes us into a singular person, all those individual experiences. And like you were talking before about how you're so excited about how your character Missy is a multidimensional person. Yeah. And not just, you know, a one-sided like, oh, she's just a cheeky black, or oh, she's just this, when it's like, no, she's actually a whole person. Yeah. And I think we've missed out on blackfellas being that on such a grand stage, because like what we have like people using your audio on TikToks like all around the world.
Oh yeah, that was crazy too. And everyone's arguing about like my accent, and just kind of like, it was a lot to see that, but it was also deadly because it facilitated. I'm using the word facilitate so much. That's like my word of the week. But
word of the week.
No, it opened up a conversation about our accent and blackfellas and how we all talk differently and how we code switch. And, you know, everyone was saying that I had like a New Zealander accent.
Yeah. People were like, oh, is this what the Aussie accent sounds like? I'm like, no.
And I'm like, nah.
But you're right. It did open up this giant conversation of people being like, oh, like she's Indigenous. Like they go to schools and high schools and they look like this and they sound like this. And like you're right, it's about us being multidimensional actual people rather than just characters and things.
Straight up. Like,
segueing into that is you're set to appear in a new series on Stan, Thou Shall Not Steal. Can you give us a little sneak peek about what it is? Well, what you're allowed to at least anyways.
So like, without like giving too much away, because got to keep it a surprise. Basically, it's about my character, Robin, and I am on a quest to like find like an old family secret, I guess, and just kind of find out more about myself and my family. And so I'm a delinquent, and it's in the 1980s, and Robin is from Jay Creek, which is where I'm from, and I like grew up, which is crazy because they wrote that before I auditioned for it and got the part. And yeah, it's essentially about me stealing a taxi from Miranda Otto, who is an amazing, legendary Australian actor, and like running away across the country and like going from a trip from Alice down to Adelaide on a search.
What genre would you say it is?
I would say it's written and directed by Dylan River, who he's an amazing like Aussie, like Aboriginal. He's Kadage man, like grew up in Alice. He's got his own style. I would say he's got a really like distinct, deadly style. It's kind of like a dark comedy. I'd say drama, like,
Really?
yeah, and that's the thing, like Dylan's really good at highlighting like really dark things that happen that's kind of like everyday in community, but he can contrast it with comedy and make it really cathartic to watch. And like that's just like such a deadly skill.
It is. I think a lot of blackfellas like we got it. We'll be like, oh, this happened today and have a laugh about it.
Yeah.
Like, oh.
And that's like the
I won't say
culture.
anything, but
like, you know, because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. And there's so many things happening in community all the time, but like just like our resilience as a people and how we can just turn everything kind of into a positive is like really highlighted in the series. And I'm really excited for people to see it. Yeah.
I'm excited too. Well, when you started describing it, you were like, I'm looking for this thing. I'm like, thriller.
Yeah,
psychological
it is. It's
thriller.
like, I'll let you decide for yourself. But it's really cool, and it's like set in the 80s, and I got to film on country, which was really special. And my friend Will, who's in Heartbreak High with me, he plays Cash. He plays opposite me in the show, and he was able to come, and I showed him country and introduced him to my family and all that, and they all went mad for him because he used to be on Home and Away, and you know blackfellas love Home and Away.
Hey.
Yeah, and so everyone was just going crazy, and they was calling him like they knew him forever and being like, oh, hey, Will, how are you? Like when he'd walk down the street. Yeah, and I was like, you mob, like, stop.
Make me shame. Makes me shame when people do that. I got a cousin who does that. Yeah. And be like, hey, bros.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know this person.
Honest, yeah. And it's just that hospitality. Like,
yeah. No, that's deadly that you got to take him out on country and to show him around.
It was really special. Like, he's such a good friend. So I was like, this is where I live. This is where I come from.
It's good to be able to have those experiences to continue to work with certain people.
Yeah.
And then be able to take them home or meet family and kind of grow that sort of relationship.
Yeah, bless.
Deadly. What are your long-term goals and aspirations with acting and beyond?
I just want to keep learning as much as I can. I'd love to like go and study overseas a little bit more. Like I'd love to go and just like study how other people teach acting and study it and stuff. Like I'm really interested in like there's this kind of like methodology of acting called the Stanislavski technique, which I'm really interested in. It's what we were taught, the technique we were taught how to act at my uni. And I just want to like go to like London and America and just kind of like see how that technique is implemented. I would love to teach eventually as well. Like I really enjoy teaching. I want to get back on the stage again, do more theatre, maybe do more music theatre. We'll see.
You should write one.
I should, yeah. And I want to write as well, like get more into thing. And I just, you know, there's so many things to do. Not enough time management skills because I got ADHD. But that's a whole nother thing.
This might get cut out because it's not factual. It's just theoretical. But I'm like, I don't think a lot of blackfellas have time management because I don't think like culturally we needed that. We didn't have to do 50 million things in a day at set times. We had like our set roles and we lived in beautiful country.
Yeah.
And like I think people forget that we've only been in like Western world or part of the Western world for like a couple hundred years.
Yeah, for like it's been like less than 5 generations, I think, or
that's
maybe
not long
more.
at all.
And depending on where you are in the country, even more so. Like the more in the middle and west you go, like you know, like you got people's like grandparents born under a tree out in the bush and stuff, or like you know parents and stuff, and it's just kind of like sometimes I need to sit back and when I'm like looking at my house and being like, why doesn't this look like this person's house, or why can't I manage my time the way that all of my other friends are? And I'm like, you know what, like my body has evolved to like sit under a tree and like go pick some bush food and sing some songs and go and like be with community and family all day. Like, you know, I'm not trying to like get up and do all of this stuff in the morning.
We're not lazy. We don't have poor time management skills. We're just sticking to our cultural inclinations. We're holding on to our roots. And that's the excuse I'm going to use anyway.
That's the excuse I'm going to use. Oh my God.
I'm going to run with that one. Who are your, well, you kind of already touched on it, who some of your biggest inspirations are already.
Yeah. Oh, have I? Yeah, kind of.
A little bit. You kind of rolled some names off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I like, obviously I've got like all the people who came before me in the job, and then
Who's your favourite though? Who's your biggest inspo?
I don't know if I'd have a favourite because
They all do different things.
they all do different things, but also just like I can't pick favorites for anything. Like anyone will ask me, what's your favorite food? What's your favorite color? And I was like, I don't have one. Like I change every single day. Like I've got ADHD diagnosed, and like I don't know, I change it. It depends where the dopamine is at. But consistently, my mum is always like a massive inspiration for me. She's really deadly, you know, like single mother, strong Black woman, just kind of like the older I get, the more I realised how much she just put into us, and like I love her so much, and she's just really deadly. So there's, you know, the women who raised me, and, you know, just the older you get and the more you realise how much work it is to raise.
All the invisible work as well that we don't even see. Like we'll be like, oh, my mum does this for me, and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
It's like, but what all the stuff that we didn't see her doing that she did all the time.
And you don't know until you know, I guess, you know. Like I don't even know because like I don't know yet. Like, you know, if and when I have kids, like I guess I will know to some extent. But even then, wouldn't be growing them up on an outstation by myself, like with, you know, my mum's got like a physical disability, and she still made things work. Like she was still making sure that she was good and functioning and an amazing parent, and like, you know, like I just owe a lot of my strength and resilience to her and like the women back home who raised me and all my mums and stuff. But yeah.
I think when it comes to like us mob, it's like, who's your favourite, like who's your biggest inspiration? I think for a lot of us, it's not specifically in the sort of area that we're working in or whatever. It's like, it's my mum because she showed me the ability and the potential of like a human being. Yeah. If you care about something, you're going to put your heart and soul into it. Doesn't matter if it's kids or if it's your job or your passion. Yeah. And it's like, if I can be committed and make an impact only at like half of what this woman has done, then I'm going to be all right. Yeah. I know that like I go through all the mess that is my life because like nothing stops at me. I think people just get sick of me and be like, oh, Sky, what happened this week? And I'll be like, no. Yeah, like. But it's like, if I know that some of the things that this woman had to work through, both through work and family and all that sort of stuff, if she could do that, then I'm going to be fine. Yeah. And look, and they're so graceful the way they do it, and they're just so happy too. Like, I'm like, there's so many like, especially like older people that I see these days, and I just look at them and they're just like positive, and they're just like really, they sit in themselves and they're so happy, and I'm just like, how do you get there? Because like I'm in my 20s right now, and like I'm sad sometimes. Like I'm really sad a lot. I'm sad. Like I'm struggling, and then they go, "You're right, bub. Everyone feels like that. Don't matter who you are, don't matter where you come from, you're gonna feel like that." And they're just, you know, like one of my dads is always like, "Just never stress, kiddo. Just like keep positive." And I'm like, I want to be like that when I'm your age. Like I want to be like that now. Like how did you get like that? How did you get like that? Yeah. My nan on my mum's side, my nan's always like, she'd be like, "Oh, this is going." She's like, "Why are you worried about that for?" Yeah. She's like, you know, the chain smoke one sitting at the coffee table. With the tea and the tomato toast. Yes. Tomatoes on the toast with salt and pepper. So it's salt and pepper, yes. So why are you worried about that for? Yeah. Oh, you're always worried about something. Yeah. Just go for a walk. Yeah. Always. I wish it was that simple, but maybe it is. And maybe it is, and my brain's just not there yet, and I'm just, you know, praying for the day that it gets there. But I guess we got to go through these times to acknowledge what, when, and what is good and stuff, and, you know, it's like duality of life. Everyone, we're all out there trying the best with what we've got, and sometimes we don't have a lot to work with, but that's okay. Like we got something. Yeah, we got something, and at the end of the day, I'm very lucky to have a big community and family to always go back to, and So what do you do outside of acting then? What's your hobbies? What's your passion? What's your interest?
So I really try to spend a lot of time doing my hobbies because I got to recharge. And as an actor, the more time that you kind of like put into yourself, the more it reflects in your performance because you got to stay present and you got to be as present as you can. But sometimes it's very difficult for my brain and to do things like that. So I try to just put time into myself, which I play a lot of Switch. I play a lot of Zelda, which is like a game on the Switch. I think I got like 130 hours on there now, which is deadly. And I just, every single night, I just go back and I chill out with my cat and I play Zelda, which is really deadly. I like cooking. I made a really deadly pasta last night.
What kind?
I didn't even know what kind it was, like, but I made the tomato sauce from like fresh.
From scratch?
From scratch. And I was like, oh.
Nice tin can of tomatoes? Lovely. Were they actual tomatoes?
It was actual tomatoes. It was Roma tomatoes, so I don't get my indigestion because of the acid. But I got my indigestion this morning because too much coffee. That's all right. But I like my cooking. I really like desserts. I like scary movies. I love my scary movies. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. It makes me so excited.
I can't watch the Blackfella ones. The MIF is on right now, the Melbourne International Film Festival.
Yeah.
And I know there's one called Mugai's.
Mugai, yeah. Is that
one. Yeah, it's at MIF.
I want to go see that.
I'm not.
No, because that's...
I saw like I think like a year ago, whatever, the preview for it. And like it started, I just walked straight out of the theatre. I'm like, I'm good when there's scary stuff and spirit stuff that don't have to do with us.
Yeah.
Because that's in a different country and that.
Yeah,
Blackfella ones,
not
I'm
real.
Like, you go and touch to me through the screen.
Scary stories.
That's
though,
like I don't want to deal with it.
But it's so like it's. Can you imagine you know what my dream would be to make like a found footage out in the bush with like not like properly ways like our spirits and stuff because like culturally like. I don't want to be talking about stuff I'm not allowed to be talking about. I don't want to be sharing stuff people might not want shared. But if you could just do a little thing like
a Blair Witch project but for blackfellas.
Inspired by like some of these things walking around out here.
None of us are going to sleep after that.
But it'd be so deadly.
It would be.
It'd be so good.
It would. Well, the thing is that you could have found footage anyways because I've seen some like videos of stuff.
Yeah.
From like up top especially and I'm just like.
Nah, I don't muck around with that though. I don't like, I don't be
My
watching
sister's
none of
boyfriend
them.
literally... Because he has nightmares, he's from Cairns, and whatever, he like sleepwalks and talks. Like he'll wake up and he'll be like talking to you about stuff, but he's asleep. Anyways, he said there was this big black man in the house while he was asleep. I woke up the next day, I had upside down handprints around my bedroom.
No.
And this isn't like out in the bush or in the country or whatever. I live in Dandenong.
No.
So he wasn't allowed to come back until he got smoked, and I smoked out that joint.
No.
I was like,
Or don't like.
I was like, and he came back from home too. I was like, you need to sort yourself out before you come back in my house. And he didn't, Josiah.
Josiah.
Yeah, Josiah. So, yeah, when I can't watch Blackfella scary stuff. But I don't know. If you made it, I'd probably do it.
I'd want to do everything. That's the thing. You got to do it all culturally.
You want a professional screamer? I'll be able to do that in the show because you wouldn't even have to give me a script or anything. I'd just be like, I'd be absolutely terrified just being out in the bush at night. And I'll just start screaming. And then that's the footage.
Because, there's some scary stories too.
I've had some stuff happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like.
That's like nowhere safe.
If you're a non-Blackfella watching this, we've had some stuff happen. It's not like, I've had stories. Stuff has happened to me. I'm terrified of spirits.
No, because and do you know what things me too? When you see how people have like ghost tours of like prisons and old like kind of like colonial structures and stuff, and they're like, "This is haunted because it used to be a prison." And I was like, "You're probably sleeping on like bones at night. Like you're probably sleeping on a massacre site at nighttime." Like I was like, "This whole place,
and I was
cursed."
Like. I got taken on like a tour in Sydney. They're like, we're going on a boat cruise. And then we got off at this place. And as soon as I stepped on that ground, I was like, something's bad here. And then they're like, here's the wall. This is where they had the first massacre. When they came to Botany Bay or whatever. And I'm like, what are you bringing me here for?
Boy, don't.
So I walked straight back to the boat. I was like, but even then, it's like, because I felt the energy straight away, I just didn't touch anything.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, this is where like they like rounded up like the first group of like black followers and like killed them, and that's where
also
they
just like traumatizing as well. It's also like
you can't spring this on me. You should have told me, or else I wouldn't have got off the boat, or I wouldn't come on this boat cruise.
it's like where's the warning? Where's the content
like
warning?
this is I'm gonna sue.
Yes.
This is you're gonna have to pay for my my psychologist
Yeah. No.
checkups now. Thank you.
No. But that's also just like another important thing to acknowledge as well. And that comes a part of cultural safety is like, especially in the film industry, I like had a big push this season on Heartbreak because I was like, I really want to make sure that I am where I'm supposed to be. Like, and I don't want to be anywhere that I'm not supposed to be because I'm not filming on the country that I'm from. This is somebody else's country. And I was always taught to acknowledge and respect that. You always got to be welcomed. You always got to, like, you know, our mob, like when we go to a new place, we always like introduce ourselves, say who I am, you know, who's my family, where I come from, what my business is there. And I do that every single new place that I go to. So, you know, whoever's there sitting down watching me is like, who's that? You know, what's she doing? Like, okay, she's right. And like I've had bad experiences with filming before where I was somewhere where I wasn't supposed to be. They took us to like somewhere in Botany or like somewhere like they took us to like near men's grounds before, you know, and I'm suddenly like, why am I so sick here? Like, why do I feel really yucky? And then somebody working with me would be like, oh, sis, this is like law grounds. Like you're not, and I freak out and I'm like, this is, and I like remember that particular time I started throwing up and I was like, this is not okay. Like, I'm like, I don't care what you mob think this might be if you think it's psychosomatic, but it's real. It's real to me and my people. Like, I'm not safe here. Yeah. Like, and so like recently I've been able to like have enough kind of pull to implement a lot of cultural safety around where we're filming. And if somebody can do research on that area to make sure that, for example, if I'm filming a scene outside at nighttime doing like an intimate scene, which is something that I did on this season of Heartbreak, they were really, like the production team made sure to contact somebody who could do the research on the area and make sure that we weren't near any sacred sites. We weren't near any like men's grounds. We were in a place that was safe and that made me feel so much safer and secure and supported as an actor and I was able to do the best performance that I could do on the day.
Deadly.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah. I guess we've been chatting for ages, but I got one more for you. Do you have any upcoming projects or roles other than, of course, your amazing new one that's coming out soon?
Well,
to share with us.
So Thou Shalt Not Steal will come out very soon. That'll be announced very soon, I hope. And then, we've got season 3 of Heartbreak High. We're going to go start filming that soon. Just like, I don't know, whatever comes my way, I guess, you know, like things. That's a really weird thing is like you can't really talk about anything until it's announced, like publicly. And it's like, I don't know, man, I'm just getting my auditions coming my way, like going to go back to country soon, live there for a little while more. So hopefully get some things up and running there with like some of the young ones and
Start your own acting agency.
I'd love to start my own school eventually, like back home. That's kind of one of the big goals when I'm a bit older too, because I want to teach. Everyone's like, don't teach, and I'm like, I like teaching. That's I
don't like kids. I don't like them.
They scare me. Kids do scare me because they're all taller than me, and they'll always point it out. Like I work with some young students, and they're always like, like you're shorter in real life, and I was like, I know.
I'm just like, get it on my face.
No, bless
love
them.
my cousins. Love all my cousins.
But they're
and
so
that,
honest.
Get it on my face. I'm just like, they're different. We're coming for like the age of like kids on screens. Like they got their phones and they got video games and all that. I'm just like, I don't have the patience.
But they're so quick-witted.
I want to do what my dad used to do and lock us outside. He used to lock us outside and lock the doors.
Turn the lights off. That's
Dad,
trauma.
let me in. I need a glass of water.
Why is that a universal experience? Don't.
There's a hose there.
Oi. That's why I'm so scared of the dark too, because I'm like, why are you locking me outside?
It was all of us trying to get water all the time because I wanted to watch Judge Judy with him. Like it was even a good show, but it was because it was the TV. That'd be like me going to get a glass of water like,
It's like,
trying to look around the corner to see what's on the TV.
oh, don't.
Shout out Daryl. Shout out Dad. Love ya. Well, I guess finishing on that, thank you so much for coming in and hanging out with me.
Thank you. Good to see you.
Good to see you. I haven't seen you like a year or two.
Yeah, busy times. Not even. I'm a hermit.
I'm a shut-in.
Yeah.
Unless I'm DJing, I'm a shut-in.
It's, like I
So you
play
play
my
Zelda.
Switch. I play my Zelda.
I'm watching 4-hour YouTube videos about somebody I don't know.
Yeah, you got to do it. I'm still stuck in like lockdown mode. I feel like I was,
I feel like that was who I was supposed to be.
Oh, yeah. I kind of,
Go sit out in the sun in my yard.
Yeah, no obligations.
Go lay down. Make a meal.
I'm like, no, I was in third year uni at that time and I was like, no obligations. I was doing my tap dancing classes like in a driveway. It's like,
how does that work? Because like, wouldn't that like ruin the metal parts? You tap things?
Yeah, it would. You're right. And I was getting assessed on it for my bachelor's degree.
I just like wear regular shoes and be like, imagine the sounds.
Edit it in like iMovie. Like,
just you with like your shoes on the table?
Yeah.
And just lay over the sound.
Yeah, my knees did not appreciate it, but, the teachers didn't either because I'm not the best tap dancer.
Tapper, tapper, tapper. Well, thank you for coming in and hanging out with me. Thank you for Indigenous Times for having me as well. It's a wrap. Catch you at the next episode.
Catch ya.